Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to my Saturday Hodgepodge for this week. This week it's been pretty much devoted to me thinking about Sally Rooney, normal people, and so I've fallen, fairly completely into the Rooney rabbit hole. And I think at this point, I wish that I had liked the book more. I wish that the book had resonated with me in the way in which it seems to resonate with a lot of the people who are kind enough to leave comments, some of whom I'll mention here in a minute. Because if it had, then I think I could have just moved on. But now I'm kind of, sort of, I don't know, obsessed with trying to figure this Sally Rooney thing out. And I don't know if you've picked up on this from watching my channel or not, but I'm one of these people who comes up with theories. I put out theories and I just like come up with it and I just say it. And one of the things that's great about BookTube is that I put out my little theories here, like in my last video about Sally Rooney and generational shifts in fiction and literature, and I get a lot of feedback, which helps me kind of refine and abandon different parts of my theory. So that's been really great. And so maybe I've fallen down this Rooney rabbit hole because I'm just enjoying the interaction that I'm getting from these videos so much. But I think if I'd enjoyed normal people more, if I had seen what so many other people see, I would have just moved on and could have left it at that and become a Rooney fan, or at least somebody who maybe had more appreciation for Rooney's work. But as a part of my Rooney rabbit hole, I watched a video interview, or part of one. I didn't really watch the whole thing because at some point author interviews kind of start to irritate me. I watched an interview or discussion with Rooney about normal people, and it probably is the first one that come up in your YouTube feed if you just search Sally Rooney's name, or even if in the sidebar, if you have a video about Sally Rooney, it might show up there. And they kind of compared Sally Rooney to another youngish writer, even though he's significantly older, I believe, than Sally Rooney, and that's Ben Lerner. And kind of talking about Sally Rooney, Ben Lerner, as being kind of the literary voices, perhaps, of a newer generation. By the way, the video is from 2019, so it's not the most current. And as soon as they said Ben Lerner, I thought, wow, I've read a Ben Lerner book, Leaving Atocha Station, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I didn't like the character, who is kind of a poet who is pretending to be in Spain on kind of a fellowship, and mostly what he's doing is scoring drugs and trying to hook up with Spanish women. And I didn't really like it. I didn't identify with the character. I do think that I need to go back and reread it because, to be honest with you, I disliked it so much when I was reading it the first time that I took a long time to finish, and I think that I probably lost the thread of what Lerner was going for there. But I thought, wow, I didn't like that either. So maybe it's just, that generation of writers who I'm just not going to like and not identify with their characters. And then I started thinking, and so I think raised the question, maybe it's just relationship, dramas you don't like. I think that's possible that maybe that's something that doesn't necessarily appeal to me in fiction. But then I thought, I just finished a romance novel, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which I thought was fun and I liked, and I didn't feel like I didn't identify with the characters there. I didn't feel like I failed to identify with the characters in that book. And they're younger than me, so I started thinking: are there, recent kind of relationship-based books that I have liked, and maybe I did feel some greater affinity for? And the only one I could think of is Panenka by Ronan Hession, the Irish writer of one of my favorite books of last year, Leonard and Hungry Paul. This is his second novel, and I read it. And I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Leonard and Hungry Paul, but this is essentially a story about relationships, a story about a man who really kind of, F's up his life pretty badly, his professional life, and his mistake in his professional life, which was on a grand and very public scale, leads him to essentially destroy his marriage and his family. And this is about him trying to kind of, reconnect, to try to get back into a life in which he is attached to people and he has connections. A lot of that has to do with his grandson. He has a romance with a woman who meets who also has had problems in her life. And I will tell you, even though this was, if I were to rate the books, I think I like this book better than Normal People. But I didn't think it was necessarily a great book, even though I really like Hessian's writing and his, I don't know, there's something about a sensibility that really appeals to me. But these characters kind of, seem like people who felt a little more real, who felt a little more resonant than the characters in Normal People. And I can't help but think there's a generational thing here at work for me, a generational blind spot or a generational affinity. In Panenka, the main character has messed up and he's trying to make amends, maybe because I'm older and I see the things in my life that I've messed up and would like to make amends for. Maybe it appeals me there, even though, my mess-ups are not on the same scale as the character here. And in Normal People, I feel like they're characters who are really afraid of messing up, and so they're messing up. And they don't seem to be aware of it, or if they are aware of it, they don't seem to feel like they have any agency to do anything about it. And, maybe that difference, that generational difference, is a part of that. Anyway, I think that's going to be my last, this will be my last video in which I bring up the Sally Rooney subject. I did want to shout out a number of young booktubers who have responded to my Sally Rooney videos with either, really great comments in which they kind of tried to explain this affinity for, this connection to, the resonance of Sally Rooney for them, why they like her books, why they like Normal People, why they felt it spoke to them. And had been really important to me, kind of like challenging my own thoughts about Normal People and challenging my own theories, which I just put out another one, about Normal People and why maybe it didn't work for me in the same way. So I wanted to shout them out. One of the great things about, one of the things that I realized when I got into BookTube really quickly was that I suspect that almost every other booktuber is smarter than me. And over time, the more interactions I have with more booktubers, the more booktubers I know who are definitely smarter than me, and that would include, I think, all the young people on this list. So I just wanted to shout these channels out. I think I've probably shouted every one of these channels out before, but I want to give them just another shout out as, one of my only ways of maybe thanking them for the great interaction I've had on those videos. So first is Mishelle Lexi, Australian booktuber who is young and incredibly smart. Kier the Scrivener, just incredibly great booktuber, really sensitive discussion of books and life, and just a really open person. I really enjoy her channel. Rachel's Reading Nook. Rachel reads a lot of the same kind of books that I think people in our corner of BookTube do, and she also kind of intersperses those with some great outdoor footage. Mariana Mas Books, just fun. Booktuber from Mexico, just really delightful, lively, incredibly intelligent person. Joe Renee Katz's books, a person who writes a lot or does some of her videos are kind of essays on topics related to sometimes current events. She's doing a lot of language learning lessons. Fraser Simon's great new book channel, Springboard Thoughts, and like all these, incredibly intelligent. And then Scott and Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, again, young Australian booktubers with definitive opinions, and I just really appreciate all the great comments I got from those booktubers. So the only other thing I want to do this week is just kind of talk about my reading week. This is hopefully a relatively short one. So this week I did finish Crooked House, this by Agatha Christie. This is a buddy read that I did with Britta Bowler, and thanks to Britta for that. I always just great to buddy read books with Britta, and we both agreed on the book that the book was very good. It satisfied a lot of those things about mystery novels that we like. That it was an example of a writer really assured of their craft and their writing and what they were doing. And I saw a squirrel across the street, and just really good. Kind of what we were, I think, both a little disappointed in parts of the resolution to the novel, but just a really well-structured, well-crafted mystery, and I enjoyed it. That was my first Agatha Christie novel, and it will not will not be my last. My other buddy read in December is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I'm buddy reading this with David, who is the husband of Hannah from Hannah's Books, and talk about meeting somebody who is smarter than you, and just suspect is smarter than you. That list of people I know are smarter than me grows every day on the booktube, and David is just incredibly insightful, careful reader, and buddy reading this has been great. Entirely possible that Mrs. Dalloway ends up in my top 10 books of the year, and it's just been a really eye-opening, great book. Again, an example of, I think, a writer perhaps at the peak of their skill, their ability, their confidence. I just think it's brilliant so far. We have about half this to go. We'll be checking in again on this Sunday. I did finish Normal People by Sally Rooney, and then I'm about halfway through Lot by Shola von Reinhold, and I'll tell you, this book is just incredibly interesting, and it's fun, and it's thought-provoking, and it's kind of intricate, and it's a little bit goofy, and at the same time it's incredibly, I think, erudite and sophisticated in lots of ways, and it's just been really, really kind of fun. Right now it's kind of feels like a cross between I don't know, a campus novel, maybe like The Secret History, sorry, Ike again, and maybe a less involved, less intricate Foucault's Pendulum. That's where it is right now, and it has this Ike, that's enough, buddy. Squirrel again. It has this kind of historical thread from the 1920s that is just right up my alley, and so I like everything about it, and I've been going through it relatively quickly. It's about 460 pages. I'm about page 230. I should finish this up sometime early next week. I've really been enjoying that, and then I will get to the other reads I said I was going to get to, which are both on I have on ebook, and that would be American Pastoral by Philip Roth, which I promised to read, and the first book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, whose name I've just forgotten. I will start those sometime next week as well. So it's been a really good reading month. It's possible that there will be more than one book in December which breaks into my top 10 books of the year. I don't know why, but I have a tendency for the books I read in January and December to be books most likely to make the list. Anyway, there you go. I look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and I promise the Sally Rooney content will come to an end probably this week, at least until I bring myself to read another Sally Rooney novel to see if her other novels confirm what I already think. Anyway, there you go. Look forward to your comments in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching.